Welcome to Movie Recap, a channel dedicated to those addicted to movies. Our focus is to showcase the best recap of your favorite flick. Sit back, grab your popcorn, and get ready to be amazed by Die Hard. Hoping to spend Christmas with his estranged wife, Detective John McClane arrives in LA. However, he learns about a hostage situation in an office building and his wife is one of the hostages. Spoilers ahead. A detective from the New York City Police Department named John McClane travels to Los Angeles in an effort to reconcile with his estranged wife Holly, who is in attendance at a party hosted by her employer, the Nakatomi Corporation, at the Nakatomi Plaza, the company's still under construction American headquarters. Argyle, a limo driver tasked with transporting John to Holly's office, meets McClane at the airport. Argyle makes the rapid deduction that McClane is in Los Angeles to make amends with Holly and offers to leave the limo parked in the garage of the building while McClane finds lodging. He sees that Holly is listed in the building's personnel directory under her maiden name, Gennaro, as he approaches the lobby. On the 30th floor, where he exits the elevator, he discovers that a spectacular holiday party is in progress. Joseph Takagi, Holly's boss and a friendly Japanese businessman, welcomes John. They argue about the usage of her maiden name after McClane takes a break from the trip in Holly's office restroom, but Holly is called away. A sizable moving van from Pacific Courier approaches the structure as the celebration goes on. Carl and Theo drive up in a car to the building's main entrance. They deflect the security officers' focus away from the trucks at the security desk. Theo seizes control of the closed-circuit security field and locks down every elevator but the service vehicle as Carl shoots the security personnel. Out of the trucks, a group of terrorists led by the slick and polite German anarchist Hans Gruber take hostages of the partygoers in exchange for the terrorist leader's imprisonment. McClane manages to slip away undetected into the building's maintenance rooms during the pandemonium, but he forgets to bring his shoes and ends up going barefoot. Takagi is led from the gathering to the conference room of the building, where he discovers that Gruber is really using the hostage scenario as a pretext to steal $640 million in bearer bonds that are kept in the vault of the building. When Takagi refuses to give Gruber the combination to the vault, McClane, who had made his way to the anteroom outside the conference room, is powerless to stop him from killing Takagi. By activating a fire alarm, McClane tries to notify the local police, but his plan is foiled when Hans orders one of his men to turn off the alarm, and he is quickly found by Tony, Carl's brother. After killing Tony and stealing his radio and gun, McClane discovers that the victim's footwear is too small. Tony's body is placed in the last working elevator by McClane. Tony is found by Hans' men in the elevator wearing an elf hat and a sweater with the message, "Now I have a machine gun, ho ho ho," scrawled in Sharpie. McClane records as much information about them as he can, including some of their names and the number of voices he hears, while Hans aggressively discusses the matter with his troops. Carl is furious and wants to leave right now to get McClane, but Hans stops him and says they need to give Theo time to break the vault's exterior locks and for the cops to show up. McClane ascends to the roof and attempts to use Tony's walkie-talkie to contact the LAPD. When Hans and his men overhear him, he sends Carl to the roof to look for McClane. McClane is arguing with the LAPD about his distress call. They think it was a joke. As Carl and two of Hans' men approach, McClane is forced to flee into the ventilation system of the skyscraper. When he comes out, he makes an effort to speak with Sergeant Al Powell, who had been sent by the dispatcher McClane had previously spoken to. McClane is discovered in the conference room by Marco and Heinrich, whom McClane narrowly kills. Powell checks things out at first and is about to depart, and McClane makes a last-ditch effort to elicit outside assistance by throwing Marco's corpse out the window and onto Powell's patrol car. Powell reverses out of the front circle and smashes, anxiously begging for help as another group of Gruber's men start fire on his car. McClane discovers a sizable quantity of C4 explosives and detonators while checking Heinrich's pockets and luggage. Using Heinrich's walkie-talkie, McClane taunts Gruber by telling him he killed some of his men and giving Hans their names. Hans receives a report from Carl that McClane wasn't lying and that their foe stole Heinrich's bag, which likely contained all of the detonators. Powell is now adamant that the emergency call was legitimate, thus things quickly get out of hand as the LAPD mobilizes and surrounds the Nakatomi building with a sizable SWAT force. Gruber, however, is not very concerned because the police are an essential and unintentional component of his plan, even though they responded a little sooner than he had anticipated as a result of McClane's intervention. In order to delay the police, Gruber Gruber approaches them with a long list of demanding conditions, including the release of a number of real terrorists whom he has no relation to and has only heard about in the news. Once McClane has finished making his fictitious requests, Gruber instructs Carl to find McClane. The SWAT team, led by Deputy Chief Dwayne Robinson, arrives in the interim and prepares to storm the structure. Theo, on the other hand, keeps an eye on their movements and warns Gruber. McClane argues angrily with Powell as he tries to persuade Robinson and the SWAT chief to prevent the SWAT unit from stepping into a trap, and the police are outgunned by the terrorists' firepower and their well-placed positions inside the structure. McClane pours C4 down the elevator shaft and blows out the entire floor where the terrorists are planted, giving the police time to flee. This stops two of Gruber's men from continuing to fire rockets at the immobilized SWAT armored car. At this moment, the FBI, commanded by Special Agent Johnson and his partner, Special Agent Johnson, are on the scene to take control of the situation. The news media is also present, led by sleazy reporter Richard Thornburg. Thornburg learns who McClane truly is and that his wife resides in the region as they formulate their plans to stop Hans and his team. He visits Holly's home and does a live TV interview with the McClane kids after threatening Holly's Latina housekeeper with deportation. One of the captives, Harry Ellis, thinking he can bargain with Hans, reveals McClane's name by saying they are old friends as the rest of Gruber's men try to locate McClane in the detonators. Powell and McClane are having a talk when Gruber abruptly interrupts, claiming to know who McClane is and threatening to kill Ellis unless his foe returns the detonators. Due to Ellis's ignorance of the situation he has put himself in, McClane refuses to give up and begs Ellis to finish their conversation. To the shock of the cops who were listening in, Gruber murders Ellis. McClane keeps traveling around the structure to get additional information about Gruber's objectives. While they search for a way out of the building, McClane gives Gruber his gun and instructs him to stick close. Gruber then makes contact with his goons while aiming the gun at McClane. The trigger clicks on an empty chamber when he pulls the trigger. Just as Gruber's goons are about to shoot McClane down in a room full of computer terminals and glass-walled offices, McClane laughs off Gruber's attempt to kill him. To make it difficult for McClane to escape while barefoot, Gruber decides on an impulse to blast out all the glass in the room. While running, McClane drops the package carrying the detonators. Gruber cheerfully returns the bag, but Carl is still enraged that McClane escaped. A few minutes later, McClane speaks to Powell while removing a sizable piece of glass stuck in his foot while hiding in a neighboring men's restroom. When McClane probes Powell about his past, Powell confesses that he hasn't had the guts to pull his gun in the line of duty in a number of years because of the time he shot a young child who held a toy gun at him. McClane tells Powell to get in touch with Holly and tell her that he loves her. He then wraps his foot in his tank top. Powell advises McClane to persevere and mentions that his fellow police are even participating in a betting pool for him. Looking for the roof, by turning off the building's electricity while preparing a helicopter attack on the roof, the two overzealous FBI agents play their final card. Gruber, however, had prepared for the FBI's propensity for predictability. Cutting the power has disabled the last electromagnetic lock on the vault and allowed him access to the bonds. Gruber has set up an explosives-rigged helipad on the building's roof using the retrieved detonators. Gruber's men force the captives to the roof where they will be murdered by the explosions when the FBI informs him that his demands have been satisfied, allowing them to flee in the commotion. McClane manages to get the hostages back inside safely after fending off Carl and fails to alert the police of Gruber's double cross, but the FBI chopper shoots at him, thinking he is one of the terrorists. Both Johnsons are killed, the helicopter is destroyed, and the helipad explodes. McClane makes another break for freedom by leaping over the roof while wearing a fire hose around his waist. A few stories down, he shoots out a window, swinging himself inside to safety. Thornburg's newscast revealed to Gruber that Holly Gennaro is McClane's wife. In order to keep McClane from interfering with his escape, he holds her prisoner. Gruber falls into a trap set by McClane, who is down to his final 2 shots and surrenders with his gun tied to his back, causing him to slump backward and out a window. Gruber is able to hold on to Holly's watch while pulling her through the window with him. Gruber is allowed to fall to his death by McClane after managing to unfasten the watch. As they prepare their getaway vehicle, an ambulance, in the parking garage, Argyle knocks Theo out cold. Together, McClane and Holly exit the building where they first see Powell. Carl emerges behind McClane and Holly with his assault rifle while pretending to be a wounded survivor, but Powell draws and shoots him before he can hurt McClane or Holly. As they leave the scene, Thornburg tries to interview them, but Holly strikes him in the face for airing his interview with their children. The cops secure the structure as McClane and Holly depart in Argyle's limousine. We really hope you enjoyed today's recap of Die Hard. Please leave a comment below on what you loved about the movie and why. Be sure to like the video and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing so you don't miss any amazing content. Until next time, lights, camera, action. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.